So, is everybody familiar with this screen right here? Has everybody seen this? Just out of curiosity. All right. So I don't really think there's a lot to go over. I wish actually, Brian, is there any way you can send me some text on Slack that is like some existing left box text? And then we can kind of go through the difference. Let's see if that, okay, cool. Probably didn't have good stuff in it.
Seat open?
Seats open. Okay. So, let's see. So this screen is like the alternative to the VC settings screen. And you get there by, do you guys know where you get there from? Like just like gift offering page, there's configure certificate. You click there, it goes here. All these, I think, should be sort of familiar, right? Like, so I guess first things first, right? The difference is that, and actually we just finished a story so you guys can get a better context of what this will look like longer term. Right now, this is like the default cert. So where you put like your default gift card image is right here. And this shows you, so we just had finished a story where it shows you what the default is, and you can essentially override it. And when it's overridden, it'll be clear in this view here. Okay. All right, so if we were going to take like this left box, we can look at what this should look like long term over here. This one actually looks pretty good. It's pretty close, actually. The only thing is this style right here. So what is this? Is that like a font? What is that tag? So if we just like take that out, that right there is better. So the less, you know, like the inline styles, the longer term we hope to have like the styles as something you can kind of select in here, or like over here we'll modify the styles over here to make it like do what you want to do. But I see that kind of style like happening a lot in a lot of our left-right boxes, and it shouldn't be necessary in the new cert. So that's one thing. Andrew, can you say for sure whether we want to go with paragraphs or pages? Can you guys see that? Maybe I need to blow it up some.
What? Paragraphs or pages?
Yeah, or excuse me, paragraphs or breaks. So like keys, like this, to separate stuff.
Ideally, you want to go with.
This looks messed up right now though, so we would have to fix
you know,
this.
Like if you need to add a second break, and like it's just paragraphs like add in like a bunch of sort of out of the box, you know, spacing and style and stuff. But you know, if you just need to do something, the problem with breaks is it's not a good like long-term solution. But I'm not super.
So then.
Let's see what happens if you use either or.
Oops. So inside this box, inside these little ace editors where you can see the numbers, you do have like Control-Z, Control-V, or Command-Z, Command-V, or you know what I mean? Like you've got, yeah, you've got basically undo within each little box. I don't know if you guys knew that, but we're using this ace editor as a plugin that's pretty popular online for just editing code. And for the spots where we're going to expect code, you'll see that it has code. So that's something that's interesting to know. So you don't have to like make a change and then save, you know, in between each change, if that makes sense. Yeah, but so save. I'll just go over some of the basics. Like save will. You're probably going to be working in the master template. You're going to open up the cert configuration. You're going to see this, and you make all your modifications here. Right? And when you save it, then the save will be what the preview shows, right? And so that will go out with the distribution stuff. I don't know what you guys call it, but the email that all the brands approve. So that'll be for that. And then the publish will be what goes to all the linked business units, right, for your sync process. And so I think aside from just like what the HTML should look like, so that font thing, that looks like pretty much the only change, right? If you want to do something in here and you don't have a box for it, like don't put for like terms and conditions, just because terms and conditions is in the left or the right box, don't put like this is not you know what I mean? Something that's not the terms and conditions. That's one thing we really want to get away from. If you want to put something in right box and it's something that's like we want to use a lot, then we can add that in production here. So we can just update the page and then add it to the settings page, and it's there. And then what we'll also do on the other side is we'll add it to our deploy process, so that the next time it's actually just part of the defaults. So we can like fix that right away. But that way we have like the actual meaning of what that data is, right? Does that make sense to everybody? So so as long as we're putting that stuff in, for now we have like the Sephora template. They want like an image on the right-hand side. And so for that, we just go into this write content, and we replace, it's doing this stupid thing where it jumps around. We have to figure that out. But we have to replace this essentially with that image. God damn it. Equals whatever that is. I'll scroll down. Oops. Yeah, that did some weird stuff. It's a bug. It's only happening with our little base editor. Okay, so you see there's our broken image right there. And so that's how we do that, is we actually put that in right content. But obviously, like, if it's something we're going to do a lot, like somebody has a template or whatever that's like, they always use right box for like an image or something, and that's just something we do all the time, then rather than having right box always have image in there, we could give it a name like right box image, right? And then if that's filled out, we can make it so the template automatically, if you just fill out what it actually is, shows up correctly, if that makes sense. And the advantage of that is that we can keep the template itself as sort of generic as possible, so that when we make changes to it, it updates automatically. Like, for instance, if this isn't a custom template, like we've been getting requests to do custom templates, then we can actually have it, if you just fill out the content boxes, we can have it so like this card box, when we get regift back in, will just pop up on the right-hand side. Or if there's a problem with something in the template, then we can fix it with our deploy really quickly, and then like you don't have to do anything custom sort of thing, if that makes sense. And when we get to templates, like say Cash Star, if we filled this out with as simple of HTML as possible, then we should be able to reliably just go in and switch out the underlying HTML for the template, and then it reformats it as Cash Star, and it just looks good. Like we can sort of test against the types of data that we're having you put in those boxes, if that makes sense. And obviously another thing is, so if we were switched to mobile, say you guys switch the left and right for terms and conditions, the mobile can stay the same, right? So you don't have to, and it's all the same sort of page. That's another thing with like getting the semantic data right. What I mean by that is putting data in the box that actually matches the name for what the data means, right? So left content doesn't have terms and conditions. Terms and conditions has terms and conditions. And then our default value, this is actually what we're showing you is the default value, which you can change. So I'll just select all this. And you notice that now we've got this reset modified. This shows you what you've modified against the default. So you can reset this, and then it goes back to the default value. And this gets us closer to only storing the things that you like need to change about it. So in the future, if we did something like, you've got a brand, Cert, right? And in one of the channels, they want to change something specific. we can change just that one piece. We can even in production add a new column, right, that's put into this template that is only for that channel, and that's the only thing that like is saved for that channel specific one. And so you could change the brand one, and then that channel one will always, you know, continue to work like with that small modification. And it would show up as that new column with this reset modified thing. And if you wanted it to go back to just like having the default values, whatever the brand has, then you would reset this to whatever it was before. But obviously this is a cert that hasn't been filled out at all yet. So does that make sense to everybody? Was that, does it sound like, am I speaking from a place that you guys understand where I'm coming from, or did I miss some context that maybe I need to add? So are there any questions you guys have about this? I mean, anything at all, I guess, really. Like I imagine you guys would go in and this is what you would manage, right? Just these boxes in here, and then you would know, okay, I need to save. And we made these so that save and publish have comments, so is a comment, right? So then you have a little more context here into what you did when you saved it or you published it. And it updates the right-hand side. So, and yeah, so you get a quick preview, which you go out of and it goes away. The cool thing is, like, I want most of our configurations to end up being like this and just leveraging what we're doing here, and then having some, even if it's not like a page that's customized for a client, like say it's a product catalog, that you can like have some sort of visualization of what the catalog looks like, and then you can kind of scroll through and see what it was at that time or whatever. But yeah, is there anything we're missing, Brian? Or
you guys want me to go through a common use case? Like making a, I don't know what first user do. Did you want to go over stuff?
The linking stuff we're going to do in the demo. Like, one of the things we want to fix is we want to fix we want to be able to have it so that the business units that are orphaned right now, because you have custom settings in that business unit for a channel, like denominations that are different, and so you can't sync those. We want to fix that problem. We're going to have a new, basically it's going to be a lot like the existing link page for sync. We're going to have one that's specific to Cert. So it's going to, that way you can like search and like add business units back in to a master template, and as long as they all are set to T3, they'll all share that same Cert template. And so then you don't have to sync to share Cert changes anymore, which is going to be awesome, hopefully. So, well, we're working really hard to get there. In fact, we just finished something where we, okay, and that's actually a good thing to talk about, I think, is something to expect is that when we fix that process, it means there's going to be two separate lists, right? There's going to be one, we can't get rid of sync, obviously, right? So you're going to have sync. It's going to have a list of like linked business units, and then you're going to have this other list, right? That's going to be almost the same, but you're going to be able to add more to it. It's going to kind of be crappy to manage two lists, I imagine. My hope is that eventually we can take the parts that you have to sync and like pull them out one at a time, so that, you know, similar to Cert, you don't have to manage, like we get rid of the sync concept. But for now, if you're doing mostly Cert changes, it's probably valuable. You won't mind too much having this other list that, hey, you don't have to have this Excel spreadsheet that says, when you do a manual sync, go fix all these values or whatever, that stupid stuff, which would probably be nice. So I'm hoping that we can at least kind of match what the sync like linking process is today. Maybe improve it. I don't know I don't know what opportunities are there, but that's our next step. So what we finished now is we're going to be actually getting the data that's going to use the existing links. We're going to take like what the existing links are whenever this deploys, like next week, and we're going to basically store that in a new place. And so as if you guys are making any changes to like adding new business units into a linked list or anything like that, that data in the new one is going to go stale, basically. You're going to have to go back in and add it to there as soon as we, it's going to be a two-part thing. We're going to say, hey, for cert, look in this new place. And then number two, we're going to automatically populate it once. And then we'll hopefully, after that happens, like another week or so, we'll have the page that is essentially the new linking. I'm thinking it'll be like at the bottom of gift offering or something that says brand cert linking, or it might be under business unit, I'm not sure, but somewhere in admin, it'll probably be kind of like the custom image fees, like just a section that you can do the linking again, and it'll be automatically populated with whatever was linked when we ran that migration. We went through a few different scenarios of like, well, maybe if you view the list like at the time, you know, it'll automatically populate with whatever it's linked at the time. But that gets a little hairy because you'd have to remember, oh, well, you still have to go and you have to go to that list and press save again. So you like go manage the linked list for the sync process. You go in and then it automatically populates when you click save. So what we're going to do is just have what shows up automatically or something that like matches by bun name or something. And then you can see it and you can just add it and then save it. It's like one small little extra. You're going to have to manage it anyway. So
you may have just answered my question somewhere in there.
Okay.
But so my typical day-to-day is just adding an existing brand that Jamie's already built, the cert is already existing, to a new channel.
Okay.
So we're creating channel incentive services, and I'm gonna add Sephora to incentive services.
Oh, okay.
I sync down from the master. Does today's sync, will that also carry the cert, or will I then need to go in?
Yeah.
So part of the brand add process for us
Right.
is going to be syncing and then also linking this new Sephora business unit
Right.
to the, okay, that's
So,
a really good thing
yeah.
for,
Two linked lists. And that's one thing I really want to call out is like, it's unfortunate that that has to be the pain point, like that you have to do the seemingly like duplicative operation, right? Where you add it to your sync, you're adding
Right.
it to the list, and then you go in and then you also add it to the brand cert
Right.
list, which seems kind of weird, but it's totally because the sync process is the nasty guy that we can't get rid of,
Right.
but then we also can't fix it, if that makes sense.
no, it's this is the kind of stuff that's good to know, because we think like we're making this great change to cert, and we are,
Yeah.
but we do want to also understand that there's this additional step for
Yeah.
our day-to-day, which is, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's still going to be solving a lot of
Yeah.
issues.
I mean, we're
for
not
us,
totally, like, we're just finishing that story, so if that sounds really terrible, you know, you can tell us right now, and then we can try to brainstorm. None of the options honestly look that great, just because the number of places we have to touch. Honestly, it's one of the most talked about things on the dev side is how do we fix the issues we have with sync. And it's also really misunderstood in a lot of parts of dev. You know, they look at it primarily just from the fact that we copy records and it's a lot of data. I look at it now from the perspective of like how it impacts your day-to-day, where like you have an Excel sheet that it wipes out that data, so you have to go update it again.
Right.
Like that's the actual problem that you guys see. But in order to get rid of that, we sort of have to pull, we have to pull sections out one at a time and then make sure the pieces we pull out work correctly for you. Like this cert has had bugs and had some like settling time. That kind of thing is going to have to happen with each section of admin that we sort of pull out into this thing that is going to be, hopefully, I'm thinking this is going to be a lot easier to maintain. So this is just mostly like the only thing I wanted to cover here was essentially what should the HTML look like in that. And so we're going to try as hard as we can not to do any inline styles, right? So if you had to do style something to do text or whatever, like talk to us then, right? Or if you are going to try to put something in a box and you know that it's not the data that what that represents, don't do that. Talk to us, because honestly, for us to add, I mean, I can show you how quickly we can add another field in here. Like say you had another field that's like, what is it called? I don't know, like this is brand name, I think. Is this the settings pane? Okay, so basically like this, you know what I mean? And this is no longer brand name. This is going to be brand stuff or something, you know. And then so this brand name right here, here's brand stuff. And now as soon as I do that, that's going to be a new column that as soon as you save, this property is going to be saved inside of the configuration guide that we just, all the configurations for this, we store in a single document, and they're just all there. So we can add new columns, no problem. And then as soon as, so like this is in production, right? So as soon as I save this, you know, added field, right? Then, you know, from your perspective, here it is. It's already ready to use. So now this is resetting because it like thinks it's the same field. That was a really quick edit. I can fix that, but you get the idea. It's not very hard for us to like add a new like concept in here that you can immediately use. And then at least if we're storing it and we know what that data is, then we can start to sort of get a taxonomy of like the different types of things that are a part of this different certs. And like, if there's a pattern there, then we might be able to pull that into a template and maybe find ways to optimize that further so there's less to fill out, so that like, you know, you have like, we envision sort of maybe a guided starting place where you're like, what kind of cert are you making, you know? And then you click that, and then we can reduce the number of fields you have to fill out. And so it's just clearer that way. But the only way we get there is if we know what field specifically, what that data really means. Like, one of the reasons that when we transition people over from T2 to T3 that it has to be done manually is because we don't know what left and right box mean. We can't automate that. So you actually have to go in manually and look at what that data means and then put it in the right place in the new cert. So if we do it this way, it definitely helps us in the future to be able to do really smart things, and it'll feel like it just kind of magically happens. The only way we do it is if we get as accurate of like context as possible of like what's in a cert. So beyond that, if you have customizations that you need to do to cert, this is the way we are going to want to do it. Is we'll want to pull out a new field and then add it to our default template. Excuse me, to be able to use it. Like for instance, you know that Jamie, you were talking about that thing for what's the Outback,
yeah,
right? So their company wants to do something specific with the card number. So one of the things I added that's going to be deployed next is this card number area. And the only thing this does right now is it returns the card number. So this is like the default handling of this. But now what we can do is we can have this one section be the only thing that's custom about this cert. Whereas in the past, we'd have to build a whole custom cert that somebody on our side would have to maintain. And so now that we pulled out card number area, we can keep card number the same data, it's correct. And we can like, you know, have this basically customize the look of it and customize it so it's like different for mobile potentially, something, right?
Does that replace the barcode configuration?
No, but we would love to replace the barcode configuration with something that goes right in here.
Okay.
And so it's just like, it would be the right way to do it.
Yeah.
And
Will
so
the barcode configuration setting override this card number area, or will the card number area override barcode?
well, the card number is only for this text right here. So like if we were to change this, like this, see this cert.card number? That means it comes from our API. We don't like change that. But like I can put in just some like custom junk here.
So if you go to the custom
And that's the only thing it does. It doesn't change the barcode itself.
in the custom barcode configuration,
Yeah.
you're able to change number spacing.
Yeah, the new one does not work with the new cert.
So the new number spacing and barcode configuration that we've been using for say like Jittery or whatever won't work on Cert 2.0, so the only option we have is the card number area.
That's right. We would have to, when we convert them over, we'd have to identify that that's an issue. And like, yeah, that's a good thing probably to keep in mind, is that new barcode stuff doesn't, like I'm actually surprised we use it because I know of other issues that I'm not sure it totally works, but it's cool. we want the opportunity to go in and really change around the barcode stuff because the way it was done, yeah, there's a lot of opportunity for improvement there.
So with this coding right here, for example, with Jittery, they want it spaced 4-4 and 6, I think it is. So
Yeah.
just put, is there a placeholder that you need to put there, or do you just put random numbers, space, numbers?
Well, like, here, let's, I mean, if you really want to see what we do. Card number. All right, so we've got this, and so we would do something like, so this is a string, so how would I do this? Subster.
Master.
It's a substring, so like, how do I do this? 2, 2. Okay, so yeah, you could like piece this together like this. So cert card number sub.
Oh.
So, and this would be like 4, 4 or something, right? Well, no, but I mean, if this is a common thing,
It's pretty common for having human mutable.
A lot of-
Foods, for example.
A lot of people are going that way, especially people who deal with a lot of high volume transactions.
So what we would probably do is we'd make a directive that we could attach to this, right? And then we would extract and say like, you know, whatever, we'd make it so that you like selected something if it's really common and it's always the same. That's a great opportunity to find a pattern where we say, you know, needs to look like this, and you just kind of select that in a list here. And look, I mean, we've already got the data here. We can just like, from here, like we're coding this manually, but this code can be extracted so you just like pop something on here, or it actually, we can make it a checkbox on here. You know what I mean? Like if it's that consistent, right? And you notice like right away, like I'm already getting something that's formatting. It's formatted sort of the way, you know, you're talking about. So it's not like we're sort of stuck, but definitely the new barcode stuff is not going to work through this. What will work, though, is the actual barcode itself. It should return a barcode image URL. Caveat there is it won't return a mobile and desktop one. So they're the same for us. We, I think, just get mobile. I think we just get mobile. So, and that's partially because we don't serve different pages for mobile. Like this, when we go to mobile here, this is the same page, you know? So, it's just reformatted, you know.
But, you know, the same with barcode, it's just in space. It's pretty much all of it.
We would much rather find the way to extract it, so it's really, really simple to like just add it, and not be doing a custom page, but be doing the smallest change possible. Because if we bake this into the template, then like the only data we would save for, you know, whatever company's doing this, Jiffy Lube, you said, something like that, then the only thing that's saved for their configuration is they have a checkbox of spaced thing or whatever, right? Like space barcode. And that's like that's the full data that we would save for that. And it's great. Because that means we can change anything else about the page outside of that. And it should work.
You're only saving what's different.
That's right.
You're not saving huge chunks of things.
Exactly. Yeah, and so the reason I brought up the channel versus the the channel versus the brand is because I've heard there's been like requests to maybe like add to the instructions here, right? Like another bullet point, which we could do. We could have it so that like there's a field that here that's like extra bullet point or something, right? And then if you fill that out, it shows up here, but you don't have to fill that out. And then you could only fill that out in the channel specific one. So you could change anything you want in the brand one, and it should still work. And then the channel one will have that extra bullet point no matter what. But
So, if I understand correctly, you're saying you have 2 different configurations?
well, in the channel one, the only thing you'd store is the overridden text for like that 4th bullet point, right? Which by default would be nothing. Like there wouldn't be in there. So, you know what I mean? Like your text.
Terminology. So when you say brand, you mean
The master template.
template.
Yeah.
When you say channel, you mean what's-
Yeah, if you were to go to
You mean cert.
one of the linked business units, I envision generally those because you're adding them to a channel, and that business unit, the linked business unit represents the business unit of the master templates brand for that channel that is the business directly linked to the business unit, right? Is that sort of,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Ish. Is there a better way of saying that? Because I would love to be able to say that better if it's not. You know, we talk in abstractions so much.
Channel
Like,
specific
yeah, okay,
opposed to
cool.
general.
Because the way you display that is you take like the business name and then you take the business unit name. You
Yes.
concatenate them together, and that represents that business unit or that business's like yeah, like e-gifts Nike or something like that, or like right. And that's sort of like how you visualize that. Yeah. What do we call that? I call that like the channel business unit.
Well, the channel partner. and
That's probably
channel partner.
that's probably the running that's probably the running joke, right? But
We got it.
okay, cool. So yeah, I think that's it. So I don't know what our plan is. As soon as we get these changes deployed, we're ready to convert a couple more brands over to using T3. Karma Coin. So we have Sephora. We're going to fix the Sephora template to be not a totally custom page. It's a totally custom page right now. It's going to be a template where we are using the boxes. And then we're also going to do Karma Coin, and we're going to do Toys R Us. And our goal is to get to Amazon. But we were also talking about, because the Outback, the Bloomin' brands, okay. So because they're like, they need sort of a custom template, it's a great opportunity to just do that. And so we're hoping to sort of like walk through this process as we convert somebody over. And then it's like really clear, like hopefully for everybody, like what that's supposed to look like. And then we'll have more people over to T3. Our goal really is to convert everybody off of T2 onto T3, because that's when we get to a point where we can, we can do something really cool with, like, honestly, dude, I would love to have rad looking certs, or like, like certs that you're like, oh, here, I got you a gift, it's for your friend. You pull it up on their mobile phone, it does something rad. Like, we can't do that right now with T2, but we could do something really cool with T3. So the more people we get over there, the less we have to maintain on T2 as well. So anyway, cool. I think we're over. Sorry, guys. Any questions? All right, cool. Well, sweet. Yeah, thanks, dudes.
Thanks, guys.
Are you talking about management?